crafty cats, it's me, Laura Evangeline. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. Today is the first of a 4-part mini series of tutorials featuring the new Halloween collection from Catherine Pooler. This sweet little stamp set here is called Happy Meowloween. It's designed by the talented and very sweet Becca Bonneville. It features these kitties in sweet little costumes. There's also a matching die set. And I pulled from my collection a couple of other items, this tag set as well as this cobweb mini cover plate. They're previous release, but they definitely go perfectly with this collection, so you might want to snag that too. Becca Bonneville also designed this new pattern paper collection. It has the sweetest, cutest little patterns, and if you didn't know, the Catherine Pooler paper pads, one of the really cool things about them is at the bottom of the cover, it will tell you all of the inks that it coordinates with. I love this. So whenever I get a new pad, I immediately go pull out all of my inks, and then I'll make a swatch tag. So you can see here all the inks all swatched out. Now the gray one there, I think that's Pebble or Hoodie. It's one of the new grays. I don't have that one, but that's another color. Oh, and the sequin mix that goes with this set is stunning. It's black, it's holographic. There's also these color shifting pieces in there that are like blue aqua, and they shift over to a purple violet. Absolutely stunning. They're called Salem, which is perfect because they do have that magical witchy vibe to them. Okay, let's put all this to the side and get to work making those cards. The first thing I did was stamp out all the images onto a white cardstock with alcohol-friendly black ink, and this way I can color and die cut everything and I'll be ready to get cracking on cards. I pulled out my TriBlends to make it easy, and I embellished the images using some jelly roll pens in metallic colors, a black and pink glaze for the noses, white for some highlights, and then there's a clear stardust I used in here in a couple spots as well. When I do the individual cards, I'll show close-ups of each of the images for you. Once everything is die cut, I'm ready to rock on the first card. This is cut to 3.5 by 6 inches tall. And then for the matte layer, I want a 1/4 inch border, so I'll trim this fish pattern paper down to 3.25 by 5.75 inches. At this point, I'm not quite sure where I want to go, but I do want to bring in some more green to go with the green patches on our little Franken kitty. So I trimmed the green piece down to the same as the one before, which was 3.25 by 5.75. And ultimately I ended up tearing the top and bottom away so it would create this distressed kind of spooky look to go with the Halloween. It's a patch job, just like our little kitty there. It ended up being about 2 inches tall by 3.25 inches wide. I also envisioned some more of the colors of the pattern paper. So I have these 1/4 inch strips. They're roughly, I didn't measure, but they're about 1/4 inch thick. And I inked them up in several different colors and placed them until I was happy with the color combination. And I also pulled in this 2.5 inch circle from Vellum. It'll kind of mute the background and create that spotlight effect. Since the carrier sheet is pre-printed, I can easily hold it over my project to pick out the sentiment that will fit. I stamped and heat embossed it in black. I also added some decorative stitching, and now I'm ready to start assembling and placing everything. I used foam adhesive under the cat, and then I tied a bit of twine around the band here and tying the bow off to the left because the circle will sit off to the right. I just felt like with all these bright colors it needed a bit more of a grounding, deep, bold color, especially since the sentiment is already black. We need to balance that. It also is kind of reminiscent of the stitches and whiskers on the cat, and when I think of twine and balls of yarn, I also, think of cats. So to attach the circle here, I want to hide my adhesive, so I placed the foam behind it under the cat and the sentiment. And oh, I got one right over the twine, so it created a bump. I'm just going to sneak under and remove that one. Okay, now the twine underneath is in a crevice, so there's not any bumping. On the back here, I'm adding yet more foam tape because I just can't help myself. I know this is a lot of layers. You don't have to do all this. You could just put things down flat if you'd like. After adding this to the card base, it's time to trim those tails down to length and add the sequins. I put my glue, I squirted out onto that carrier sheet there that's left over from the foam strips, and I'll just tap my sequins in a little bit to get just the right amount of glue and then stick it onto my card so it doesn't squish down and give you that glue halo that I'm not a huge fan of. Sometimes it just happens. And since I have these sequins on here, I can take a couple bits of foam and tuck them under using these little tweezers. I love these because they have this angle on them, they're reverse grip, and they're a bit non-stick since they're coated, and it helps me so much do all these little surgery jobs on my card. I also added splatter further down the road, so in the final photos you'll see that. But that does it for this card. If you'd like to see the next one, this cute little guy, someone say treats, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell, and I will see you in the next video.